we're starting no matter what. So one of the things I just wanted to, we were chatting about this at the beginning, but I guess I'm going to say it again. The question is about setting goals and about developing a plan. All right, and so what we're talking about today is what to do on a buyer appointment. But that presupposes that you're doing something that would produce a buyer appointment, which means the most easiest way, the most easiest way would be to be doing open houses. All right, so I'm just going to keep going. Right. So this comes from some information called Win the Buyer. And for those of you that are curious, what you might want to do is to focus on becoming good at a buyer consultation. And one thing you could do, this is what Keller Williams looks like when you log in. If you go over here to education and you go to Keller Williams University, and it spins around and it wants me to log in again. How nice. I was doing a class yesterday in Palo Alto. I don't know why. I was doing a class in Palo Alto. That's why I have that log. All right, so this is what it looks like when you log in. And if you were to go over here to what do you want to learn today, and you're to type in buyer consultation and hit enter, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff. Buyer consultation, the needs analysis. These are videos. Win with buyers is really the handout where from today's handout came from. And you'll notice there's next page, next page, and next page, and next page. And one of the things that I would recommend that you do is time block each week. And what that would include, you might want to time block a certain amount of time every week where you're going to learn stuff, right, besides just coming to class. Like stuff on the internet, like all of that. Here's the Chandler Team Buyers Consultation and AHA's Session 7, which is an Ignite class. Buyer Consultation, there's a PowerPoint presentation. You're going to find a lot of stuff about buyer consultations. And where I want us to go is to where you actually practice it. All right, so this handout, what I'm going to do, it just occurred to me that those of you that are online, you're going to do this. Copy Dropbox link. Yeah, no. I'm going to go here. And that's a link to the handout that we're doing today, for those of you that are looking for a handout. So prepare for the buyer consultation. Know your buyers. Build an appointment. Know your buyers. So would it be important for you to analyze what the demographic is of the people that you're working with and what they're likely to be looking for? I don't know how much time I want to spend on that. Wow, I don't know how much time we're going to spend on that. Build an appointment system for success. Why don't we go to that? All that other stuff is useful. Would you be more effective if you focus on a particular kind of buyer? For example, first-time home buyers have different loan programs. Investor buyers have different loan programs. Move-up buyers, different loan programs. Right? And it would be good to learn each of those groups. My suggestion for all new agents is that you ought to learn let's start with one loan program. Right. In other words, you could talk to Carl here or another lender, but if you were to say, look, I run across a lot of first-time home buyers, tell me about a first-time home buyer loan program. Because when you're talking to people that are interested in, you want to make an appointment with them. And one of the questions you have to ask yourself is, why would anybody want to make an appointment with me? Why? And the reasons that people generally want to meet with a real estate agent are, want to hear the reasons? Number one, you understand the market inside and out. You're out previewing property, you're seeing property, and when they describe what kind of home they're interested in, you can say, I know what you're looking for. I've seen stuff like that recently. Well, let's go look at it. Now, do you understand that presupposes that you're actually looking at homes every week, right? And by the way, this is considered sometimes to be not a good thing for me to say, but I would recommend that you have a goal to look at homes that excludes going on the broker tour. Because real estate agents go on the broker tour because it's an easy thing to go on. And you get to see some homes. But I don't believe that gives you, no, there's a handout. Brandy's hiding it. I don't know. And Hillary doesn't get one. No. So you should be previewing homes every week, whether you have a buyer or not. You should be going on the broker tour, but I would have a goal to preview homes that are not on the broker tour. Have you noticed that the broker tour is like a rush from here to here to here, right? And you see expensive homes and cheap homes and things like that. And I don't know if you've ever got the feeling where the listing agent is saying, well, do you have an idea of what the home is worth? Is the price good or not? And you're like, I have no clue. Isn't that right? You have no clue because you haven't been studying that market. You don't know the market. You don't know if it's a good deal or a bad deal. You don't know anything, right? But if you were to pick a geographic area that you wanted to learn and become good at, you could preview homes in that area. If you wanted to work with a particular price range, you ought to preview homes in that price range. In other words, somebody who says, I can afford a single family home under $700,000, what could they buy and where would they buy it? Somebody who says, I'm interested in a home between $700,000 and $800,000 and it's a single family home, where would they find those homes and what do they look like? Now that's a relatively easy thing for you to do if you search the MLS, right? You understand? But then it would give you an idea. You would know what an $800,000 single family home looks like, right? So one reason that people might want to meet with you is because you understand the market and you're looking at homes every day and you can direct them where they could get a good deal on a home in a particular price range. I'm assuming that no one in this room, with maybe an exception, is any good at that. Right? I'm going to go with that assumption, right? Number two, another reason that somebody might want to meet with you is because you understand real estate financing. And when they give you an idea of where they are at, you could direct them to a lender that would be good for their situation. I'm assuming that most people in the room are not good at that either. Right? I'm just, I'm just saying. My number three close would be, and many of you have heard me say these words, which is, has anyone ever showed you how to get a good deal, how to get a good buy when buying a home in the market like we're in right now? That's a process close. You understand? It's a process close. And so what I want you to do is to come into the office and meet with me, and we're going to discuss the process, the strategies for getting a good deal to buy a home. Do you understand? You could learn this easier than those other two. Isn't that right? You could learn this easier. And by the way, if you're previewing home, you understand financing and you've learned the scripts on the selling people on the process, you're going to be a very good at a buyer consultation. Is that right? If you could do all of the above. But I start with this one because it's the one thing people could learn to do. Should you understand real estate financing? Should you know what's happening in the market? Right, yeah, but that requires a commitment in time. I oftentimes wonder, and this is part of my ranting part of the class, one of the people in Santa Rosa actually, she was joking with me, wondering if I needed medication, because she was listening to me talking about email signatures, and she thought it was hysterical. She might be online, I don't know. But the part about, if you are working at real estate full-time, right, full-time? You're full-time, right? Is full-time 40 hours a week? No? Yeah, no, that's not. No. So do you understand full-time at 40 hours a week? Let's say, how about this? Forget 40 hours a week, 20 hours a week. How about that? Does that sound like an easier? If 80% of your time was spent focused on getting clients and you were working an 20-hour work week, 80% of 20, is like 16.6 hours a week. And if you divided that by 5, that's 3 point something. Let's round down to 3 hours a day. Do you understand? 3 hours a day of actively lead generation is at 80% of a 20-hour work week. So I have this belief, I may be wrong, that you might have time in a 40-hour work week to spend an hour previewing homes. And maybe to spend an hour meeting with a lender and finding out about loan programs. Right. So a strong value proposition. How would you find a value proposition as a real estate agent? Well, how about we would go to real estate value proposition examples. How about that? It comes up in Google. A bunch of images. Shift your value proposition to land more real estate clients. 4 ways to create and dispense your unique value proposition. Value proposition toolkit. Developing the value proposition from realtor.org. My value proposition for buyers and sellers. Realtor branding online. How to create a useful value proposition with examples. So a value proposition would be a statement that you can make regarding what you do, what is your mission when it comes to working with buyers, right? Would it be good for you to have one? Would that be good? Does Keller Williams have a value proposition? A mission, vision, and value statement? The answer is yes. All right, and you're going to find in our materials information on how to develop one. So one of the things that I have on a checklist, which I send out to people, is do you have a value proposition? I don't know if anybody checked that box, right? But would it be useful for you to put together in a short little summary what your value proposition is when you're working with buyers? Would that be a useful thing to do? All right. So I see we're having fun with this already. A customized buyer guide. I'm going to show you where to get one. I'm going to show you some examples. And what I believe you ought to do, and I'm going to type up because I never have time to write it up, but I'll type out what I think you ought to put in a package that you would give to a prospective buyer. Right? I'm going to go through a list, my list, which I hope some of you write down while I'm talking. And my suggestion is you have at least 3 of these at all times. I was chatting with Matt the other day, and he was showing me in his backpack that he actually has forms that you could fill out with a pen and pencil, even though he's a relatively young guy, that he carries in his backpack in case somebody wants to buy a house. Right? Is it possible you could be someplace where you don't have internet access? Right? How would you get copies of the purchase agreement forms and other forms that are NCR forms that you could take with you and carry with you and actually use if somebody said, I want to buy a house? That's right. The Board of Realtors sells them. That's right. Do you know that? The Santa Clara County Association of Realtors would sell you some. But where I want everyone to be, if you're serious about selling real estate, is that when we're done, that you're going to have 3 packages that you can give to a buyer that you're going to carry with you at all times, right? That they're going to be in the trunk of your car or in a briefcase, so that if you're at an open house and somebody says, well, we're interested in buying a house, we're willing to meet with you, you're not panicked and saying, well, I can't really meet with you right now. You know why agents do this? Because they're not ready. Right? So, everyone's heard about the fear of rejection, which is when people say no. How about the fear of acceptance? For many new real estate agents, the greatest fear is someone's going to say yes. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's do it. I want to hear why working with you is a good deal and why it's going to help me let's do it right now. Let's do it. All right. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I don't have my stuff together. I haven't practiced my presentation. I don't know what to say. And so what that usually means is you put people off, right? You say, well, I can't really do it right now. Right? I got to wash my car, right? I've got to go shopping. right? You're saying you put them on. And I also believe that the reverse is true. If you go to the trouble of putting together some customized buyer guides, you're going to actually be proud of it and want to give them to people, right? You'll be looking for an excuse to show them to somebody and go through it with them. Appointment management, preparation process, strong value proposition. Everyone, we're not going to do that. The MREA, value proposition. What is in it for them? I like to make the joke that everybody's listening to the same radio station, WIIFM, right, which stands for what's in it for me. So the top 10 service areas of the buyer proposition: needs analysis. When we go through the buyer consultation, part of it is the needs analysis. Part of it is pre-qualification or pre-approval, negotiation, and vendor coordination. There may be more. By the way, this page here is something, and I have some sample of buyer broker or buyer agent brochures and things like that. Would it be a good idea for you to put together a brochure that explains the services that you provide somebody who's thinking about buying a home? Would that be a good idea? Right, and we have some samples, but this is a good list. Vendor coordination. Real estate agents call me often and say, I need a landscaper. How do I find a landscaper? My clients need a landscaper. Do you know any good landscapers? I usually say no. And then they're like, well, will somebody tell me the name of a landscaper? You're missing an opportunity, right? What's the opportunity if you don't have a landscaper? Call landscapers, right? Call landscapers and say, hi, my name is Mike, I'm a Keller Williams Realty. I have clients that need a landscaper, and I'm looking for somebody I can work with. Are you accepting new customers at this time? I've had people say no. They say, yeah, sure I am. Wonderful. Maybe we could work together. Let me ask you this. When your clients have questions about real estate, do you have somebody that you refer them to? Do you have a real estate agent you refer people to? If they say yes, my sister's a real estate agent, my mother's a real estate agent, I'm a member of a networking group, and there's a real estate agent who sends me leads and I send him leads, then call another landscaper. Right? Pretty soon you'll find a landscaper who says, no, I don't really. Right? Wonderful. Perhaps we could work together, help us grow each other's business. I go to the doctor and the doctor wants me to have this test. Does the doctor say, go on Yelp and find somebody? Or does the doctor give me a list of people to call? Actually, my doctor says, call this person here. Call that person. Right? Should you be developing a vendor list? Right, as part of your value proposition? Somebody needs new carpets, do you have somebody? Now, by the way, if the answer is no, there's videos of me doing this class on how to generate vendor-related leads. Right? I have a script, although it's not exactly a difficult one. Update, review your value, a buyer name. I hold myself, here's an example. I hold myself to a higher standard, and it is my goal to find you the best property at the best price. It is important to me that I do this and that for you. And these things that you would be filling in would be something from the list of services, right? I find that my buyers value this because, and it benefits you ultimately, this is just sort of a template for you to write your own value proposition. Now, if this were being done as a class, in a real class, I would be stopping now and making you do it. What is the problem? What is the downside of me not, see, if I stop and make you do it, if the class is going to take a long time, if I don't stop and make you do it, what's the downside of that?
You're not going to do it.
You're not going to do it. Isn't that the downside? Right? So how many of you are going to be willing to do this right out of value proposition? I don't believe you. So look, the way you raised your hand, it was, I feel guilty if I don't raise my hand. Would you be more effective if you could articulate a value proposition relative to a buyer? I would think so. Right. Customized buyer guide. These are Suggested content. Right? A welcome letter, mistakes to avoid, Chamber of Commerce information, local attractions, buyer questionnaire, buyer representation agreement, a sample contract, all these different things. Whether or not you're going to put them all in there. Hello, I heard something. Let's see, who? Hi, Judy CC. Anyhow, you guys can talk, we can hear you, just so you know that. And inspections, title search, testimonials, credit checklist, interest rate chart, agency disclosures, frequently asked questions, talk about this, whether you put it all or not, this would be a place to start. I have some of my own ideas. I know that seems strange to you, but I have some of my own ideas as to what you might want to put in your buyer guide. One of them I would include would be I'll hear some of them shuffling around. I'm going to, it must be us. I muted you, Judy. You'll have to get my, so environmental hazard booklets are provided by home warranty companies. We got some, didn't we, Brandy? How much did the home warranty company charge us?
Free.
They're free. And it has a lead-based paint, it has the earthquake, it has a whole bunch of stuff. Right. Brandy actually has a copy of one, which you carry with you.
I carry everything.
You carry everything with you, my God. She gets a gold star. She gets a gold star. Don't all of you want it? Don't you want a gold star too?
I've just been talking to a lot of people lately.
So are we supposed to have that booklet given, are we supposed to give the booklet to people and get a receipt for it before they make an offer? The answer is yes. All right. And I used to go through the booklet with people. I used to point out things in it. I'm just saying, you ought to maybe read it. The environmental hazards booklet. I would include, other things I would put in is the market conditions advisory. The market conditions advisory is a form that is a required form by every real estate office that I work with. And it basically explains what the hazards are making uncontingent offers. Then another one is called the statewide buyer and seller advisory, which is a rather long list of everything that could go wrong in a real estate transaction. And another that you might want to, now some of these are already on it, but agency disclosure, sample contracts and things like that. I've had people say to me that these things might scare people away from wanting to buy a house. It's quite possible that if you read the environmental hazards book, you won't want to live in your house anymore. Because your house is killing you. Did you know the carpet is killing you? The furniture is killing you. And then you'll be thinking, well, I'll just go sleep in the backyard. Read the section on radon gas coming up through the ground, right? Now, if you were a buyer and you read about the warnings in the market conditions advisory, the warnings in the statewide buyer and seller advisory, the warnings in the environmental hazard booklet, would you start to get an idea that this might be a more complicated process than you originally thought? Right?
People want to hear what you can do for them.
Right.
With respect to that.
And if there's actual issues that could affect them, the things that could go wrong, might they be more willing to pay attention to who their real estate agent is? Part of the problem is that real estate agents are like wallpaper. A wallpaper is a pattern that's repeated over and over again. They all look the same, they all talk the same, they all do the same, they all act the same, they drive the same cars, You know that most real estate agents drive the same cars, right? You know, they dress alike, they say the same things, they do the same things, and it makes it very difficult for you to tell people you're unique when you're driving the same car, dressing the same way, and saying the same things as everyone else. True? Right? So to stand out from the wallpaper would mean you need to do something different from everyone else. And I'm telling you that putting together a buyer package, a customized buyer package that you could give to somebody and go through with them is going to make you stand out. Most people don't think it matters who the real estate agent is. Most people pick the real estate agent based on the house. Some of you are hoping they pick you based on the house. You're doing an open house, they want to buy the house, you're there, they let you write the offer. What you're going to want to explain to people is that they should pick the agent first and let the agent help them find the house, not the other way around. Understand? That's it in a nutshell, right? Where we're going in the buyer consultation. All right. Local information about the area. Are there things you can get about what's going on in the area? Can you get stuff? Does anybody have a list of events of what's going on in the area? How many of you get emails from title companies? Am I the only one who gets emails from title companies? North American Title sends me a list of all the events in the area. Old Republic Title sends me a list of all the events in the area. I believe there's another title company that sends me a list of the events that are in the area. Right? I get at least 2 or 3. One of the things that I suggest you do, which may sound scary, is get on everybody's mailing list. If Hillary sends out stuff, say, here's my card, send me stuff. Right? But you don't have to list this, but do the same thing with Chicago Title, Old Republic Title, Fidelity National Title, North American Title, right? How about lenders? Should you get on all of their lists? Do lenders have stuff that they like to send out? I would get on their lists, right? Cal Financial sends me rates every day. They talk about loan programs they have. Right? Would that make the process easier? They just send you stuff. All right. So, activity, right, there's a slide here for you to write down other items that you might want to put in your buyer guide. Right? What I would like to see us done, by the time we're done, is I'd like you to have 3 packages in folders with your business card ready to go that you could give to somebody. That's the goal of this. I've said this before, but I'm going to mention it again. The intellectual understanding of this is the booby prize. Watching my classes and coming to classes and not doing anything is worse than worthless. I had a guy tell me that back a long time ago. He said, if you come to the classes and you don't do anything, it's worse than worthless. He said, you could at least volunteer from some charity instead. Right? Pick up trash on the highway. Do something useful, right? But if you don't ever put together these packages and you don't practice the appointments, Matt, I'm not going to go through it. Matt and I were having a fun conversation today. Keller Williams offers you a 22-page digital guide. Really?
Yes. I want you to find it, because I can't find it.
You can't find it. Want a better cookie? I can find it. So first of all, we have to get back to the dashboard. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to go back. And how about this? There we go. It's logging me in. Cool. This is called the one login. I'm going to go to KW Intranet. And what I'm going to do is first of all, let's just talk about some things. If you go over here to marketing, and I'm going to right click so I can open another tab so I don't have to backspace. And I go to market my business, there's a tab called marketing to buyers. And if you click on this, they've got your Agent Matters letters, it's got seminars for first-time home buyers, it's got information about the buyer consultation and 8x8 campaigns and the mobile app. There's all sorts of fun stuff there. But let's go back and find the guide. Notice it says My Marketing, and I'm clicking on the plus sign next to My Marketing, and one of the choices, let's go to the first choice, is Create Marketing Materials. And then we wait for it to spin around. Wow, we're really waiting for it to spin around. And we go to print marketing. And over here, first of all, you can go to collections, and one of them is Market My Business Buyers. And if you click on that, basically it's giving you marketing materials, but what I usually do is I unclick everything, and I'm going to click on all collections. Notice what I've got is guides, tick marked, all collections, and your guide to buying a home. Buyer presentation, there's one for a team and one for an individual. Basically, it just changes a little bit of the wording. Listing presentation, pre-listing test presentation. Let's look at buyer presentation. We click on that. And we click on personalize.
Yes, I found that, but the one they showed here, this one's nice. This one's not nice.
Let me see.
I mean, this one looks new.
No, that's the same one. That was just, it's like it with a different color. But let's talk about nice.
Well, but for example, look at the, like what I wanted, because I went through this one, and I wanted a graphic like this, a nice home buying process, but the one they have it's really ugly.
Yeah. So let's look at nice. How many of you have logged into the Michael Lewis Marketing Suite?
Yeah, so go there. They copied the ugly one in there, fancy.
Right.
And they don't even have one that's nice.
I don't know. So,
You're going to the free stuff page, is that where you?
pardon me?
On the Michael Lewis.
Yeah, the free stuff. So, I don't know. I'll ask them and see customer care listing and buyer consultations, modern buyer consultations. Look at those. They're pretty much the same thing. And I don't know. I might have a copy of that one because I saved them.
This box.
Right.
Boxy one.
You don't like that box?
No.
So this is the Michael Lewis Marketing Buyer Consultation. And you're supposed to replace your picture, by the way.
Wait, you have to see that they just copied the boxy one from John Williams. Keep going, the next page down. See? Same.
So you want something that looks better than that. I'll have to look to see if I can find that one. All right, let me just, while we're talking about it, your buyer, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to kw.com. I'm going to go to KW Connect. I'm going to open it in a new tab. It might be someplace else. Come on. All right, let me go back here. Open in a new tab. I'm not quite convinced that that's an important element. How would we find other graphics that look nice about the home buying process? If we go to home buying process, by the way, lenders generally have cool stuff for this. And we click on images. Do you see a bunch of other things that might look cool? That looks very familiar. There's infographic type things, but I'm not sure that's as important. So what I'm doing here, let me go here. I'm going to go to Education and Keller Williams University, and the class that I got this from is called Win the Buyer. And let me just sales leads, listing, all sales topics, target buyer. Courses. And it's agent systems, grow your profit share tree. What's wrong with this? Menu white. Buyer. And when with buyers, I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to click on course materials. Cover sheet toolkit. And I'm not sure when buyers toolkit. Because it names it weird things. And I don't know if this is in there or not, but lead sheets, buyer lead sheets, more information on that. The purchase process, 26. Why isn't it moving forward? Anyhow, you might want to, oops, backtrack, I saw something. Why do things move slow when I'm, is that what you wanted?
There it is.
Well, yeah, that's just the same one.
Well, but this is a color version of the purchase process. I thought that's what you wanted. Yeah, I thought I found what you wanted.
I was asking for the buyer guide.
I don't, these are pieces from it. So I generally, I'm not,
Customized buyer's guide.
you know, I don't know. So anyhow, I thought I found what you wanted, but apparently not. Anyhow, so would it be valuable for you to spend some time making one that you like? Right? I think that's, and I actually don't mind the Michael Lewis one. Most of my buyer consultation involves, you do the intro, you ask them questions, you make a presentation, and you ask for a decision. And the decision is a commitment to work with you exclusively going forward. The 4 things: you build rapport, you qualify, which means you ask questions, you show, and what that means is that you show how you can help them with their problems, which means getting them the best house possible for the least amount of money in the right time frame. And then you close, which is asking them to make a decision. Let me just, where did I put it? Downloads. So Michael Lewis, buyer consultation. I don't think it looks bad, right? But you're welcome to improve on it and change things. Basically what you need, and there's also the buyer lead sheets, what you need is a list of questions to ask people, right? That's really what you need. Because the biggest problem is that when they look at you and you're looking at them and they're looking at you and you're looking at them, and they're like, now what, right? You know, and you're like, I don't know, I've never done this before. So what you need to do is to take out like the buyer lead sheet or one of these things and to just go to the place where it starts asking them questions and start asking them questions, right? Now, by the way, my beginning almost always was, tell me a little bit about yourselves. How did you get here? What's going on in your life? Tell me, what's important to you? What are your goals? What are you looking for? What are your dreams? Tell me. And let them talk for a while. Are schools important to you? What kind of recreational activities are important to you? Describe your dream home, right? And you just get them to talk. So that was it. So preparation checklist, you should confirm the appointment. I hate to break this to you, but not everybody shows up. I hate to break it to you. They don't always show up. So you're at an open house and you make an appointment to meet somebody at the office at 10 o'clock on Saturday. You ought to remind them the day before, text them in the morning, chat with them in the morning. Sometimes they don't show up. But I know it seems heartbreaking, but I've had people not show up. This is why you don't want to meet them at the buyer consultation at their place. Do you understand? There's one exception to that, and the exception is if they need to sell their home in order to buy a home, then you want to meet them at their home, right? Because they probably need to know what their home is worth, so that's called a listing appointment. Otherwise, you meet them at the office. By the way, don't stand by the glass door and look out the window waiting for them to come. Right? I'm just saying. If you're going to go to the doctor's office and you drove into the parking lot and you saw the doctor looking out the window, waiting for you, that might create the wrong impression. Right? Is it okay for you to be busy when people come in? Right? And are there things you can do? Hyperventilate, breathe into a paper bag, right? Check your pulse, practice, right? There's things that you can do, right? And where you want to get is where this all becomes boring and routine, right? For me, meeting with a buyer is boring and routine. Right? You're saying I don't have any jitters, I don't really feel anything, right? Hillary is not surprised. You just don't feel anything, right? You understand? That's really where, because once you've done it so many times, you're not worried, you're not nervous, you're not anxious, it's going to be okay, and you just do it. But it's better to do it at the office. You should reserve a room, or use one of these rooms, or one of the flex rooms. You should reserve a room. It would be good if you could make arrangements for me to be there, right? I'm willing to show up. I'm willing to help you on your first consultation. If you want me to be there, I'll be there. The value of me being there is that they can ask just about any question they want. So here's a checklist. Ensure that all decision makers are going to attend. So one of the fights that we have is when parents are helping people buy a house, helping the kids buy a house. Because sometimes the parents are going to say to the kids, if you make an offer in a house without us looking at it first, we're not going to help you buy the house. Right, so what does that mean? You need them as part of the process. Do the parents want to be part of the process?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
They don't want to spend the time. But what will happen is that you'll find them a house, you'll show 10 homes, they'll like one, the parents will look at it and say, what do you mean this is $750,000? That's ridiculous. The agent isn't showing you everything, right? Huh? And so would it be better if they were part of the process? Right? If they're a decision maker, it would be better if they're part of the process. I realize you can't have it all. You should complete your buyer guide. You should review the lead sheet. All of it. Does everybody remember how I found all that stuff? I went to KW University. I typed in courses. I typed in buyer. I found Win the Buyer. I clicked on Toolkit. I downloaded all the files. I'm not uploading them on my Dropbox thing. You should be able to do this, right? You should get in the habit of finding stuff. All right. Confirm the appointment. Remind them, hi, this is Michael Keller and Realty. We have a consultation appointment scheduled for at noon. I don't have the pre-approval on a loan for you, so I'm checking to see where you stand on that. I've gone through this over the years where at one point in my career, I would meet with buyers before they were approved for a loan. With the idea, I would tell them on the process, I'd tell them on work with me, I'd get their commitment, and then I would send them off to the lender. And so many times the lender would be, hovering there. Let's say it's Carl, right? You send him to Carl, and Carl, the Carls that I worked with back then, would walk out after talking to him, and they're looking at me going like this, right? The buyer's unemployed, bankrupt, they're a convicted arsonist, right? And they would just shake their heads, and so then I spent an hour talking to somebody that's not going to buy a house. So then I reversed the order and I would say, why don't you talk to the lender first? One of the advantages of using an in-house lender is they're in the house and Carl's there and, he could come in and meet with them and then you could, right, you understand, you could do the process together. But as a general rule, you don't want to spend time with people that you don't know can actually buy a house. Right, Brandy?
Right.
We don't want to spend too much time with them. I'm sure can buy a house. Anyhow, so here's some script. Metrics. This is another part where agents sometimes stop. What that means is, does everybody realize that the market is shifting? Homes aren't appraising like they used to. There's more listings. We're seeing contingent offers. Right? Days on market is growing. Should you be up on all of that? Preview lots of properties. Look at that. Preview lots of properties. Should you know about days on market, prices and features, changes in the local landscape? And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being, you're supposed to write this in the box right here. 1 being poorly prepared and 5 being exceptionally prepared, and discussing those things we just went over. And then we're going to share your scores on our Facebook page. Right, does everybody realize on how to find that information? You go to stats in the MLS. If you're in one of my Sonoma people are online, that's called Trends in Barris, where you're looking at what's going on in the market.
How can you find if homes aren't present?
How, you'd have to talk to people that are involved actively in real estate. Who do you know that would talk to you that's friendly, who knows what's happening with real estate transactions? Laura. Laura, the transaction coordinator. Do you think she knows what's going on with lots of real estate transactions?
Mhm.
Right? I know because I coach a lot of people. Right? But Laura probably is involved in more transactions than I am. Transaction coordinators. Who else would know? That's right, Carl, the lender. Correct. You think that lenders know whether or not homes are appraising and whether or not that becomes an issue and whether or not loans are contingencies. Right? Right? So remember my let's go talk to lenders idea? Right? Do you remember how I start off the conversation when you're talking to a bank? Tell me what you're seeing going on in the market. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what I ought to know. And then they'll talk. Would that be a valuable thing for you to hear anyhow?
Yep.
Right? Would it be worthwhile if you found some friendly lenders that you had coffee with them every week and just said, so what's going on? What do you see? Right? Then you know. Yeah. Know your scripts and materials. If you practice scripts 3 to 4 hours each day. What? That's insane. You'll become better than 90% of the agents in your area. That's probably a true statement. Should you have a schedule that includes script practice? Would it be a good idea to find somebody else in the office that you could practice scripts with? Right? Do they make you do that in bold, Hillary?
Yeah,
Every day. Every day we would call each other and do a script. I, by the way, have 2 coaches that I work with. One of them is in Oregon and the other one is in Southern California, and we call each other and we go through scripts and we talk about our goals and what we're doing. I have 2 that I do that with. Just thought I'd share that with you, right? Because I have my own scripts. Where would you find scripts? We go to Keller Williams Intranet. We're going to open this up. How about this? We're just going to go to Keller Williams Connect, open it in a new tab. It's one of these someplace. Does everybody understand what I'm going to do? I'm going to type in scripts. Okay? I'm going to type in scripts. And you're going to find 3 script catalogs, one for buyers, one for sellers, and one for lead generation. Each catalog is hundreds of pages of scripts. You have to learn them all? No, but should you practice them? See, one of the values that I have, like on a listing appointment and things like that, is that I've been asked the questions before and again and again and again and again and again. And generally when somebody asks me a question, I say an answer. And there are people that have watched my videos from 10 years ago and realize I'm saying exactly the same thing now that I said then. How unimaginative, right? I've said the same things to the same questions, to the same objections for decades, right? But you understand there's some there's a comfort and a consistency in that. And so what if you practice reading the scripts, pretty soon somebody's going to ask you a question and you're going to find yourself just answering it. I know. Where are we having? Is this? Look, can't imagine why there are more people here.
Mike, let me come back just for a second on the participants in the discussion. Do you have, what about the people who want to be involved who aren't decision makers? So you've got like the parents, they're not actually a decision maker, but they want to hang around in the process.
Well, sometimes it's just hard to get rid of them. The part of the problem, the 4 steps in all sales, the first one is rapport. And people want their tribe with them, right? And sometimes it's the worst enemy of the real estate agent is the parent, uncle, aunt who's giving advice, right? The amateur advisor, right, who's giving them advice. And so it's difficult to say, there's a certain point where you can say, look, we need to meet. Will the doctor allow anybody to sit in the room? Not anybody, right? Parents maybe, but not anyone. At some point do they say, look, you need to go. How about a lawyer? Would the lawyer allow everyone to sit in the room? Probably not, right? Well, we may not be at that level, but you understand there's a certain point where you have to say, look, we need to do this. All right. And
so your recommendation?
I would be flexible. It would depend on how big of a pain they were being. Right, but I would be flexible. We're not, it's not the same thing as visiting a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah, you know. All right. So we all use scripts. Most of us just have bad ones. Is that right? I'm just, one of the things that people resist is learning scripts because they think it's not natural, it's not me, it's not whatever. And by the way, if your clients speak, I don't know, Chinese, as an example, would it be valuable for you to practice scripts in Chinese with another agent who speaks Chinese? No. I'm just saying, if your clients speak Spanish, you might want to practice that. But
take me a lot of practice though.
well, there are some agents that I have that wouldn't require a lot of practice to speak Spanish or Chinese. All right. Be a consultant, not just an agent. So we're going to move ahead, okay? Is that okay? Preparing for the buyer consultation, prepare in advance. Were there any ahas from this chapter other than we're not ready? So the purpose of a buyer consultation is to get them to sign an agreement. I'm going to talk about what the agreement ought to be. I have an idea about this. I use something called a buyer service guarantee, right, which I'm willing to share with you. It's something that I put together. And the way I actually would do this is, remember the 4, I'm going to say it again, the 4 steps in any presentation is: number 1, build rapport. Number 2 is you qualify, which means you ask questions. Number 3 is you show how you can help them with their problems. And number 4 is you close. So what I typically would do, and by the way, psychologists say that sitting to somebody's right is more effective than sitting across from them or to their left. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So many, if you pay attention, if you watch me, you'll notice that a lot of times when I meet people, I go out of my way to sit to their right. Right? To sit to their right. And for whatever psychological reasons, I've read about what the theories are, that most people are right-handed, you could hit somebody with your right hand easier than your left. People feel more comfortable having somebody on the right than their left. Across the table is more adversarial, right? So you'd sit to somebody's right. Now, I read books about body language, and I've done a lot of that stuff. If I were meeting with somebody at the beginning for the rapport section, I would have the chair turned sideways. Right, not completely sideways. Those people that are online can't see what I'm doing. But rather than directly ahead, I'd have it turned sideways, and I would be sitting in a less formal position. And then that's when I would say, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me what brings you here. Tell me what you're looking to do. And I would want them to just talk, right? And I may or may not even be writing stuff down now, right? After we've done the talking and I'm about to move into the presentation part, I would take my chair, turn it so that it was facing the table, move it in, and what that does is it sends a signal that we move from the chatting part to the business part. Right? Does everybody, you know? And I usually would start off with a, I always like to tell people what we're doing. Right? What is the goal? What is the itinerary? What are we looking to accomplish today? Right? This is why we're here. This is what we're doing. I have a script for that, which was I'll give you, but it actually comes from a video that was made on the Buyer Consultation by a woman named Urbaldini, right? And she basically, you could listen to her mission statement and basically I'd say, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, find out what you're looking for in a home, what the process is going to look like. I'm going to show you some ways in which we can help you get where you're looking, where you want to go, how you can get the best house, how you can negotiate the best deal. We're going to be talking some strategies. And by the time we're done, we'll be in a good position to decide whether we want to work together and move forward. How does that sound? Now, you understand what I've done by saying it that way is I've set up we're going to make a decision today about whether or not we're going to work together and move forward, right? And the goal is, again, to sign an agreement to have them informed, happy, and healthy, informed, happy, and confident in agreement on the next steps. Why not? So set expectations, value proposition, listen to any concerns, seek agreement. Sometimes I'll ask them, what's most important for you to learn today? What's on your list? What would make this a win for you? What are you looking to do? I'm not going to talk about all that right now. You build a great experience, customers tell each other about that. Word of mouth is very powerful. I don't know, what does he know? So there's another course that I'm going to be integrating some stuff in called the Customer Service Experience. And what that gets into is how to plus all this stuff. By the way, you could download the book if you wanted to, and how to plus all this stuff in order to do a good job with them. So you conduct a buyer consultation, you set the stage, do the needs analysis, share your value proposition, set service expectations, close for the appointment, and establish the next step. How much longer am I going to do this? Consultation materials, you have a buyer's guide with questionnaire, a value proposition, you have your tablet or laptop, pens, notepads. If they have to sell their home, a CNA, water, we have a little basket. All right, one of the guys that I used to have come in and talk about buyer consultations would bring his snack tray to show agents. And he would explain why he has this in his snack tray and why he has that in his snack tray and why he has that in his snack tray. He had spent a lot of time analyzing snack trays. Some of you, I think, have probably spent some time analyzing snack trays. Let's see. And here's some sample scripts.
Mike,
You need to go.
I'm actually meeting with one here.
Well, why don't you do that? That's fine. I'm recording this, and right now this is stuff, these are scripts that you could read. Next week, we're actually going to do the practicing, right? Because I've been talking too long. And so you ought to have something memorized that you're going to say. This is a setting the stage script. The needs analysis, no, that one looks just like the one. And basically there are questions here. Tell me what I'm going to say about asking people about what they're looking for. You want to expand and not narrow the focus. Find the shop. They're bailing on me. In other words, if somebody says, I want a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, you should write it down like you care.
Yeah.
And then once you've written down everything they want, you go back and you say, okay, let's talk about the bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. Now, just so I know where you're coming from, Are you saying that if I found a really good house in the right price range, in the right neighborhood, everything else was perfect except it only has 3 bedrooms? Are you saying you don't even want to hear about it? And a lot of times people are going to say, well, actually, I would like to hear about it. If it's 3 bedrooms, cool, so it's 3 to 4 bedrooms. Right? And you said you wanted 3 bedrooms. Are you saying that if everything else was perfect, if it only had 2, you don't want to hear about it? And I was like, well, actually, no. Right, did you understand? Because what people are going to start with is what the perfect home looks like, and what they're going to describe is probably something they can't buy or does not exist. Right? So the goal is the first you write down everything they say they want, and then you want them to separate wants versus needs. I used to tell people you get 5 needs. That's it. You can have as many wants as you want, but you're only going to get a limited number of needs. We need this, we need that. And you want them to talk and you want to listen. There's that. That's what you like. Reviewing the mortgage process, if they talk to a lender or not. I always tell people they should talk to 3 lenders, even though I realize most of them are not. I would tell them, talk to a big bank, talk to a mortgage company, and if you're a member of a credit union, talk to the credit union. Right? And since Carl is here and is doing a good job with people, why not let him talk to Carl? Why not? Right? He works for a mortgage company. Most mortgage companies are brokering the same products. He works for a big mortgage company. They have almost all of those products. Right? But people they will want to go into Bank of America or Wells Fargo and talk to them. Go ahead, let them do it. And you should, if they're a member of a credit union, most credit unions just hire mortgage brokers. And they don't actually have their own products, but some of them have their own products, and some of their products are really, really good. Now, if you do that, are people are more likely to trust you than saying, this is my loan person, just use them.
Mm-hmm.
I, by the way, would always say after I went through this, and by the way, you ought to start with Carl, right? You got to start with the mortgage broker because they have a bigger array of products, and then after that, you can go and talk to the bank and to the credit union. What usually happens is they talk to the mortgage person, they like the mortgage person, they're happy, they don't talk to anyone else, right? But you don't want to tell people, just talk to my loan person, right? Because a lot of people will resist that. So the buyer's guide, there's some scripts here, sharing the value proposition, communication and expectations. This is, how do you like to be communicated with? Do you want text? Do you want email? Do you want phone calls? Let them say how they want. And showing the process, closing for the agreement. We're going to talk more about that. What I'm going to do is stop probably at this point. There are some objections and things like that that you can read. And what we're going to do next week is I'm going to find a volunteer and I'm going to do a buyer consultation. Right? I'm just going to do one, and then you're going to get a chance to do one. Right? Does that sound like fun? So you might want to study what you're going to say before that. Right? But right. Does that sound like fun? Yep. All right, everybody. How many people ended up with? Good to see you guys are online. That's all we got for now.